You probably know that diseases of the heart and blood vessels occupy the first place in mortality statistics, and a special place here is occupied by hypertension or high blood pressure. What percentage of people do you think suffer from this disease? Almost 50%, almost every second of us. Very often, hypertension comes together with thrombosis, heart attacks, and strokes, and this is a very pressing problem for people over the age of 50. But the most insidious thing about it is that very often it is asymptomatic. A person may not even suspect that he has high blood pressure. When have you measured your blood pressure last time? And even if a person doesn't have it now, there's no guarantee that there won't be problems with it in the future. But there is a way out. In this video, I'll tell you about the products that are great for lowering blood pressure and thinning your blood. So watch this video to the end. Knowing these facts, you can improve and prolong your life in a very healthy way. Let's get started. By the way, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell. That way, you won't miss out on our new videos. In the beginning, a very important disclaimer that I just have to say, all of these recommendations are not intended for people with serious cardiovascular abnormalities. In special cases, consult a doctor. And the tips I'm going to talk about apply to people who are generally healthy but just have slightly elevated blood pressure. And these are basic prevention recommendations in the first place. So, the first thing to know is, what blood pressure is normal? Of course, the classic figure is 120/80. The pressure is systolic and diastolic. Systolic is from the word systole, that is, contraction. Systolic pressure is the pressure at the moment of contraction of the heart. It is a figure that is higher. And diastolic pressure is when the heart is relaxed, which means that this figure will be less. And if a person has a systolic pressure of 140, this is already bad. Here already something has to be done. What are the main causes of high blood pressure? This poor permeability and brittleness of the walls of blood vessels and various pathologies of the heart and even other organs. Of course, this is overweight, a sedentary lifestyle, and a genetic predisposition. Excessive salt consumption, even nervous tension can also be the cause. Because of this, we have an excess of adrenaline in the blood. Adrenaline is not a hormone that you release only by doing extreme sports. I honestly don't even understand a little bit why there are such clear associations. Adrenaline is, in general, a catabolic hormone that is released when you are stressed. Even if you're sitting, doing nothing, in a chair, and worrying about yourself, you have an excess of adrenaline. And it can also be caused by blood clotting, but it can occur for several other reasons, such as dehydration. Eating the right foods and avoiding the wrong ones can have a very healthy effect on your blood pressure. Again, this should be handled by a specialist in special cases. Here, I'll talk about basic recommendations that are simply a must-have preventive measure. Reduce your intake of fatty animal products, replace animal fats with vegetable fats, but that doesn't mean that plant fats will be good for you, because plant fats can also be overdone and harm you. Someday, I'll record a separate video about plant fats because there are omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9. We've all heard about the benefits of omega-3, but not everyone knows about the harms of omega-6. But someday I'll talk about that separately in another video. Eat more foods that contain potassium. There's a lot of it in bananas, apricots, oranges, tomatoes, potatoes, tuna, or zucchini. There's also a lot of potassium in rice. Potassium is an antagonist to sodium. We've all heard about potassium-sodium balance, and it's optimal to consume potassium from foods, not from supplements, because you can overdose on it with them. An overdose of potassium won't do you any good. If you eat too much potassium all your life, the opposite effects occurs. It can lose vascular elasticity with age, and it will only make things worse. Next point, get high on foods that contain magnesium. Magnesium in general is probably the most beneficial mineral for our hearts. It is very abundant in cereals, beans, nuts, beets, and carrots. Some people are even prescribed a magnesium supplement as they age because it's very important. And if you play sports, magnesium is also called an endurance mineral. You can even feel it literally on the treadmill, that you run more and get less tired. Of course, you have to remember about proper fluid intake. It is necessary to drink at least 8 glasses of water a day. Very often, it is the lack of fluids that causes high blood pressure. Blood is much more viscous and does not flow well through the blood vessels. Vitamins can also help us. First of all, we need to focus on vitamin C, A, and B. And the first thing that we have to do is minimize salt in our diet. Salt. There is a recommendation. Consume no more than 5 grams of salt per day. But that doesn't mean that 5 grams are optimal. Optimally, it's much less. It's just an upper threshold of 5 grams, and if you consume 2, that's already better. The whole point is that salt has a very strong effect on the balance of potassium and sodium. To dissolve the salt, the body starts to retain a very large amount of water, and this starts to lead to high blood pressure. Moving on, calcium, a very important mineral for lowering blood pressure. And the most direct and best source of calcium is dairy products, cheese, yogurt, and so on. The next item is pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are the best source of zinc. Zinc deficiency causes heart attacks. You don't need to eat very many pumpkin seeds, just a pinch, but every day. Of course, omega-3. Omega-3 can be found in both salmon and cod, in many types of fish. There's also a lot of omega-3 in flaxseed oil, and you can also consume it in pill form. Omega-3 positively affects your cholesterol profile, strengthens your immune system, improves brain function, and helps lower blood pressure. Now, I highly recommend that you watch my other video where I talk about why it's important to eat walnuts after 50 years of age. This video is very important because it adds to what I've been talking about here. It will give you a complete picture. The link to the video just appeared on the screen, and I also left a link in the description, and I've also pinned the link in the top comment. Be sure to check it out. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And see you in the video about the amazing effects of walnuts for people after 50 years of age.